It's very easy to kind of sit in your Western armchair and be like, oh, Israel's terrible. Well, you're able to enjoy free speech rights and a lot of rights here in the West that Iran used to have. And if you are serious about actually protecting human rights, you should want to make Iran Western again.
Sounds good, but that's pathologically insane. I'm sorry. It is. How do you know it's going to be better? Yeah, the Ayatollah is awful, but maybe he's one of the few guys that can keep that country together and not have a 90 million person civil war.
What happens when the very group someone helped create suddenly starts digging through their old content and quietly turning it against them? That's the strange situation insiders are now whispering about. Behind closed doors in conservative circles, people are talking about claims that Turning Point USA might be circulating old clips of Charlie Kirk. Not to support him, but to slowly chip away at the image he spent years building. Charlie Kirk didn't just work with TPUSA, he built the whole machine. He launched the organization, built a massive student network across campuses, and turned heated college debates into viral clips that pushed him into the spotlight of conservative politics. For a long time, he was basically the face people associated with the entire movement. So when word started spreading that some of his own past videos might now be getting passed around internally in a different light, people were seriously confused. The person who reportedly brought attention to this situation is Candace Owens. According to Candace, certain figures around TPUSA have been going back through years of Charlie's speeches and interviews, pulling out very specific clips that could shift how audiences see him. And if her claims are accurate, that means Charlie's own digital history could be used to reshape how people remember his role, almost in real time. But the question everyone keeps asking is simple: why now? What exactly happened behind the scenes that suddenly made these old clips so important again? The moment that really sent the internet into a frenzy happened on Twitter when Turning Point USA suddenly posted an old clip of Charlie Kirk talking about Iran. The timing instantly raised eyebrows. In the video, Charlie says, "If you are serious about protecting human rights, you should want to make Iran Western again." But the clip didn't appear out of nowhere. TPUSA posted that video right after Trump's strike on Iran, and people quickly noticed the timing. It looked like the clip was being used to signal support for the escalation.
Well, I just first have to ask, since you hate the country, do you plan to leave?
What do you mean by that?
Do you plan to go live in another country?
No, I do not.
Let me tell you something.
Your face is an idiot.
America is the only country where even those who hate it refuse to leave. That's how you know you live in a great country.
By bringing that moment back into the spotlight, it almost framed things like Charlie would have backed the same tough stance on Iran. But the situation flipped almost immediately. Within minutes, the tweet was hit with a community note, and that note completely shifted how people understood the clip. The note said, "This clip predates Charlie Kirk's June 2025 statement calling regime change in Iran pathologically insane. He opposed war." That detail changed everything. As many people remember, the Iran issue was one of the last major foreign policy topics Charlie spoke about before his passing. And he wasn't vague about it either. He made it very clear that a war with Iran would be reckless, devastating, and harmful for everyone involved. Not Americans, and definitely not the people of Iran. And the gap between those two moments, the old clip versus Charlie's final stance, is exactly why that community note exploded online. The second people read it, the entire post started looking completely different. Suddenly, it didn't feel like TPUSA was honoring Charlie's views at all. Instead, it looked like someone had pulled an outdated clip from years ago to push a message he had already rejected. That's why the reaction got so intense so quickly.
You don't even know if
It
she's
doesn't
like
matter.
the quality.
It does not matter. I'm sorry.
I see.
By the way, that money you save is not worth the honor that you compromise.
It is such a big deal.
It's a massive deal.
What first looked like a simple post started raising bigger questions about what was really going on behind the scenes. And according to Candace Owens, this wasn't just a careless tweet floating around online. She suggested it could be the first signal that someone inside the organization might be trying to reshape how Charlie Kirk's legacy is remembered. For many people watching this unfold, the whole situation felt strangely familiar. This isn't the first time critics have claimed that Turning Point USA quietly shifts the way Charlie's past comments and beliefs are presented. Those concerns have popped up before, but now they're getting louder again. Candace says the real shift may have started after Erica stepped in to lead the organization. When Charlie passed away, the future of TPUSA suddenly became uncertain. The entire movement had been built around him, so the big question quickly became, who was going to carry it forward? That answer came fast. Erica took the helm and officially stepped into leadership.
I think the mistake they made, and I've said on my podcast, she should have never become the CEO and chairman overnight. Because now when people have questions, you got to answer them, right? You're not just a grieving widow, but you very quickly decided that you were equipped to be Charlie.
Publicly, the move was framed as protecting Charlie's legacy. In interviews, Erica repeatedly said she wanted to continue the mission he started and keep his voice alive through the organization he built. But not everyone believed that explanation. One of the loudest voices pushing back from the very beginning was Candace Owens. Candace said that right away, something about the whole situation didn't feel right to her. In her view, Charlie Kirk was a traditional Christian who put family above everything else. Because of that, Candace argued that Charlie likely would have wanted a very different path for his family after his passing. Instead of stepping deeper into the political spotlight, Candace suggested that Erica might have chosen to stay home with their children and focus on helping them through such a painful moment.
I know this award is about legacy. It's about my legacy, our children's legacy, my husband's legacy, but it's also about your legacy.
She also pointed out that Charlie had reportedly left behind enough financial security that there wouldn't have been pressure to run the organization for money. But events unfolded very differently. Almost immediately after Charlie passed away, Erica stepped into his position and began running TPUSA herself. From the outside, it looked like a quick transition of power. And as time went on, some observers started noticing something that caught their attention. The more leadership decisions that were made inside the organization, critics began claiming that certain ideas associated with Charlie were being presented in slightly different ways. That's where Candace Owens really turned up the pressure. After the Iran clip controversy exploded online, Candace released the second episode of her investigative series about Erica titled Bride of Charlie. And in that episode, Candace didn't just question Erica's leadership style, she went directly at her character, raising even more intense debate around the situation. Candace didn't hold back at all. In her series, she described Erica and her mother Lori as fame-hungry social climbers, who, in Candace's view, had been chasing attention long before Charlie ever passed away.
As that Lori, Erica's mother, is exceedingly problematic. Exceedingly problematic. What people have said to me is she is the person, has always been the person in Erica's ear. Like she's this type A person that tells her who to go after in each and every room. She knows who those people are, who Erica should instantly transform into, what she has to say.
According to Candace, even before the tragic events last September, Lori was constantly pushing Erica to work the room, stay visible, and jump in front of cameras whenever the opportunity appeared. Candace claimed the encouragement was simple: stay in the spotlight and keep the attention coming. And when people started looking at everything that happened after Charlie's death, some critics said the pattern raised serious questions. Since then, Erica has appeared in interview after interview with major television networks, putting herself right in the center of the story, while presenting herself as the guardian of Charlie's legacy. To supporters, it looks like leadership during a difficult moment. But Candace argues the real issue isn't the interviews themselves. She says the bigger concern is what has been happening inside TPUSA, while all of this public attention continues to grow. According to Candace, the organization that Charlie built to spread ideas and energize young conservatives has slowly started looking very different. Critics claim the focus has leaned heavily toward branding, merchandise, and promoting Charlie's image as a product. Then Candace revealed what she called her biggest piece of evidence, an audio recording she released publicly. The clip reportedly captured Erica speaking just days after Charlie's passing. In the recording, Erica can allegedly be heard laughing and sounding excited about how much money TPUSA had already made from merchandise connected to Charlie's name. For many people who heard the audio, the timing immediately raised eyebrows. Charlie had only been gone for a few days, which made the moment feel shocking to some listeners.
The thing is, like, you gotta be at some level terrified, right? It's either the greatest evil that ever happened, or she's terrified and she's in this position. And I think the mistake they made, and I've said on my podcast, she should have never become the CEO and chairman overnight. Because now when people have questions, you gotta answer them, right? You're not just a grieving widow, but you very quickly decided that you were equipped to be Charlie. Well, guess what? That's gonna be a trial by fire.
And Candace didn't soften her words at all when talking about it. She argued that turning Charlie's name into a money-making brand right after his death might be one of the worst things someone could do to his legacy. In her view, it crossed a line that should never be crossed. Once the community note on that tweet started going viral, and Candace's accusations began spreading across social media, the reaction online was immediate and intense. People weren't just criticizing the tweet anymore. Many started accusing TPUSA itself of betraying the legacy of the man who built it. Screenshots of the post started flying across Twitter, and the replies underneath quickly turned into a massive pileup of angry reactions. One user wrote, "How distasteful, dishonest, and disgusting. You're doing more to damage his legacy every single day. Shame on you for real." Another comment said, "The way TPUSA is manipulating Charlie's words and message to appease the Warhawks is shameful." And then the conversation took an even wilder turn. Some users began dragging outside political angles into the debate. One person posted, "Tell us TPUSA was taken over by outside interests without telling us." Claims and speculation started spreading fast, and the entire discussion quickly spiraled far beyond just one tweet. Candace also pointed to another detail she found strange. She questioned why, despite reports that Charlie had faced strong criticism and pressure from certain international political figures before his death, Erica still appeared publicly aligned with strongly pro-Israel political circles.
By the way, if you have the intent to marry, you're already like kind of blending finances. Like, I get that psychologically, but like if you're like, oh, we'll take turns. Like, oh, well, you pay this time, I pay this time.
What's your advice to a girl who the guy she's currently seeing, he says that?
Oh, do not marry that man.
That observation only added more fuel to an already explosive debate happening all over the internet. As the debate kept spreading online, more people began asking a bigger question: who inside the organization actually decided to post that clip in the first place? Because according to several insiders, social media posts from an organization as large as TPUSA usually go through multiple layers of approval before they ever reach the public. That's why some observers started wondering if the tweet was just a mistake, or if it was a deliberate move that someone signed off on behind the scenes. And once that idea started circulating, the speculation only grew louder. Candace leaned into that question as well. She argued that the situation didn't look random at all. In her view, resurfacing an old clip that contradicted Charlie's final stance on Iran was too specific to be an accident. Her claim was simple: someone knew exactly which clip they were posting and exactly how it could shape the conversation. And if that's true, it raises an even bigger concern, because it would mean that the battle over Charlie Kirk's legacy isn't just happening online. It could be happening inside the very organization he built.
But you asked very specifically about democracy, which is not an American value. It never has been and never should be, because what is democracy? Democracy is majority rule no matter what. That there's no provisions of checks and balances, no inalienable rights, no separation of powers, pure if the majority gets it, the majority wants it as quickly as possible.
Now supporters of TPUSA pushed back hard against those accusations, saying people were reading way too much into a single tweet. But by that point, the internet had already grabbed hold of the story, and the controversy was spreading faster than anyone expected. And as the online storm kept growing, people started looking back at older moments involving Charlie to see if there were signs of tension inside the movement before all of this happened. Some longtime followers pointed out that in the final months of his life, Charlie had been shifting his tone on several major political issues. On topics like foreign policy and international conflicts, he sounded much more cautious than many of the hawkish voices in conservative politics. He repeatedly warned that rushing into another major war could have devastating consequences. That's why the resurfaced Iran clip triggered such a strong reaction. To critics, it looked like someone was highlighting an older version of Charlie while ignoring the more recent statements he made later on. And that difference matters, because people often remember public figures based on the positions they held at the end of their lives. Candace pushed that argument even further. She claimed that if organizations start choosing which version of someone's past statements gets promoted, it can slowly reshape how history remembers that person. And once that idea started circulating, the conversation shifted again. The debate was no longer just about one tweet or one video clip. Now people were asking whether Charlie Kirk's message was being preserved or quietly rewritten in real time. Because by that point, critics were already pointing out something major. Charlie had reportedly changed his tone on Israel before he died. Acting like his views never evolved only made the situation look even stranger to people watching the story unfold online. But the resurfaced videos weren't the only thing raising alarms. About a month after Charlie's passing, longtime followers started noticing something else happening quietly in the background. His content was disappearing. First, people noticed missing episodes on Spotify, then Apple Podcasts. Then suddenly videos and clips began vanishing from YouTube too. Before long, fans who had followed Charlie for years realized that episodes they had saved or bookmarked were suddenly gone. That's when the big question exploded across social media. Why would an organization remove the digital footprint of the very person who built it? One tweet that spread quickly captured the confusion perfectly. People were asking why so much of Charlie's archives seemed to be disappearing at the exact same time old clips were suddenly being resurfaced. Candace Owens directly blamed Erica, claiming the decision came from her position as CEO. But a TPUSA staff member pushed back and said the platforms themselves were responsible for removing the content. That explanation didn't convince everyone, though. Usually, streaming platforms don't all remove the same content at the same time unless the request comes from whoever controls the material. So that raised an even bigger mystery. When you combine disappearing archives with old clips suddenly popping up out of context, the whole situation starts looking a lot more complicated. Was TPUSA truly protecting Charlie Kirk's legacy? Or was someone quietly deciding which parts of his voice the public should still hear, and which parts should disappear? And now I want to hear from you. Do you think this is all just a misunderstanding, or is there something deeper going on behind the scenes? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. If you found this breakdown interesting, make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and share it with someone who's been following this story. Your support helps keep conversations like this going.